It's getting better, but it
Hello,
may lose
everyone.
like 5
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon from not very sunny Manchester today, but we know that people are from different parts. First of all, welcome to all those people who are joining us from different platforms. Some joining. This is simultaneously being broadcast by our social media channels: YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm delighted to say that we have a very good, distinguished level of guest today. First of all, we have amongst us uh, Ferdos Rahman. She was one of the leading personality in the effort to support the independence movement in 1971. And if I am not wrong, Apa, you received Shadhinota Padok in 1984?
1984 by the
Yes,
embassy. Yes,
right.
along
So,
along with other people as well.
yes, so Ferdos Rahman is a recipient of Independence Award, which is known in Bangla Shadhinota Padok, which is one of the highest civilian award that can be offered to anybody. Then we have Dr. Taslim Shakur, who is a retired professor and editor-in-chief of an international journal called South Asian Cultural Studies. But he's here today with another hat, and that is Taslim Bhai is compiling the contribution of Bangladeshis living in the Northwest in 1971 to supporting the liberation war efforts. Taslim Bhai lives in the Northwest, near Preston. Am I right, Taslim Bhai?
What it is near Preston. That's true.
Right.
Thank you.
And Ferdos Rahman, you are in London.
Yes, I am.
Right. And then we have Colonel Ashraf Al-Din, who is a retired colonel of Bangladesh Army, now a principal of English medium school and college in Bangladesh. And he was lucky enough to be there at that time because he lived very near to Kalurghat in Chittagong, where the then Major Zia, later on General Zia, Shahid Zia, gave the Declaration of Independence. And after the Independence Declaration, walked miles and then took shelter at the school, his school, which was established by his father. So he will be giving us eyewitness account of the events of that day. And then finally, we have a young British Bangladeshi writer. She's Shabnam Ahsan. She actually has taken the initiative, which is very commendable for someone born and brought up in Britain, and to be translating a Bangla book into English. She has translated Jahanar Imam's well-known memoir, Ekatturer Dinguli. She translated that book into English. She's now a PhD student on children literature. So I would like to welcome you all to our event. Thank you to all for giving us your time to be here with us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
Assalamu alaikum.
Noah, just to let you know, yes, he's back again. I
knew. It's the camera is obviously in the control of the person, so I can't do anything about it. So what we want to talk about today is three key things that I have spoken to our guests that we are going to try to look at three key points. One is, what were the events that led to the independence movement? Some argues that the 1948 to 52, the language movement created the foundation for the independence war. Some argues against it, but that's something we're going to be looking at, the history of what led to the independence movement. The second point, we're going to look at what happened during the independence war. So during that 9 months, what happened at that time. And the third thing we're going to look at, which is one of why Shabnam is here, is how relevant is the independence history of Bangladesh independence to the British Bangladeshi diaspora, particularly to the young generation like Shabnam, how they see the history of Bangladesh independence and why do they feel it is important. I mean, particularly, I would like to know from Shabnam what inspired her to translate that book. So we'll come to that. So as I said before, this is not someone giving speech, It's a free talk show type discussion forum. So the floor is yours. I'm just facilitating. I'm not going to be doing most of the talking. You will be doing most of the talking. I'm just going to listen to you. So whoever wants to talk, just please start.
May I suggest we start with the youngest member? Someone would like to hear her first, because many people have heard us before, and therefore it's a good idea to start with Shabnam, if you don't mind. Because I believe in the same category now. Today I'm wearing the hat of the role of the British South Asians, and therefore I would like to hear what she has to say first.
Before we do that, I have a comment that one of the listeners mentioned, Jasmine Chaudhary, that I failed to mention that General Zia gave the independent declaration on behalf of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. I was just mentioning that fact that General Zia gave the declaration, and I was mentioned it in relevance to Colonel Ashraf's personal account. But obviously, that's the history. General Zia, then Major Zia, did mention on behalf of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, I am giving the Declaration of Independence. So it is a historical fact that independence declaration, although it was given by General Zia, he did mention he was giving it on behalf of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. So I wanted to mention that so that nobody misunderstands that we are not trying to hide any facts here. So Shabnam, go ahead.
Thank you very much, and it's a great honour to be here today with such distinguished guests. So yeah, to answer your question, obviously I was born and brought up here in Britain. Everything we learned in school was about British and European history, but I guess I was lucky because my parents, and in particular my father, thought it was very important to instill a knowledge of our history and our heritage and where we came from. So we'd always grown up learning about and hearing about Shadinata and about the history and our family's experiences throughout it. So that kind of desire that connection, I suppose, has always been there more or less in some ways, even though we didn't really go very often to Bangladesh for various reasons. We still always had this connection with the country and the history and the literature and the language. So that was the beginning of it. And then as I grew up through my teen years, I was encouraged to read a lot. So, we read newspapers, we read books. And from there, that's how I sort of stumbled on Jahanara Imam's memoir. And from my point of view now, as a parent myself, my children are fourth generation. So for me, it's important to sort of pass that history on to them. And they're a little bit more disconnected than, with every successive generation, they will be a little bit more distant than the last. So it's that attempt to endeavour to try and keep the connection alive as much as possible in the ways that I can. And for me, that came through translating anything that I could into English so that they would be able to read it one day.
If I may do, Numan, just press on a bit with that as well to her. That how do you connect yourself with Jahanara Imam 71's write-up? And how do you think this is going to have any impact with the people of your generation or your after generation in the 50th anniversary?
The connection really was just about hearing a first-hand account of somebody who was there and somebody who made sacrifices. And as a woman, a woman's voice for me, that was important as well. And obviously, most of these accounts are always in Bangla, so it's difficult, I think, for a lot of people my generation and younger to access because of the language barrier. So I feel like a lot of history gets lost in that way for us. That's why it was important for me.
Thank you.
All right. So I would like to ask our panelists if anyone wants to make a comment. Pedosapa, you were there as one of the leaders of the efforts to support the independence movement from London. Would you like to share with us some historical facts about how did it all come about and what did you all do?
Well, firstly, I just consider this our young writer and who is brought in and here, but unfortunately don't think me as a negative person, but we are living in different country abroad, which completely fail to. 1 minute, let me. Somebody's calling me. Oops, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Take your time.
Oh dear. Oops.
Don't worry, take your time.
Is there anyway? So I can't.
Don't worry, Appa, don't worry.
Don't
All right.
worry.
Now we just fail to teach Bangla to our generation and liking the history and culture of our country, and all our activities, and that never attracted young people to follow the way we think, we deal, and make the history. But so it is a good thing. Not only Zahanara Imam, I think all the renowned writer and other things should be translated in English so that we can inspire our younger writer to, because if you don't see the country, if you don't meet the people, if you don't born in the culture, so it is difficult to visualize, and it is difficult to understand and respect. So hopefully it is a long time by the time our younger generation already separated from our generation. So there is a big gap. I don't know which way you can inspire them. Not the way they are brought up, they what thing, not the way. In our culture, we just impose thing on children, and that's why maybe they just don't like the things that they want to learn. So, however, at that time, it was really, because as you said, it's still some of the thing, history is not within Bangladesh and within one community. It is divided. However, at that time, only it is communication was very poor, and only we didn't have a mobile, only the landline and the maybe photograph through the TV, I mean through the television, other thing. So when this war started, it was going on from the long time, because Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is negotiating with them in a long time, and it failed miserably. Why I don't understand now, that nobody knew that Pakistani army was preparing and transporting all the arms in a civilian plane. Nobody could guess it, and then a massacre happened on 25th of March. We can see, and we saw the Simon drink at the time. It was the Sheraton Hotel, and we saw, and on 26th or 27th morning, we heard Ziaur Rahman on the television, on the radio, that he was revolting against Pak army and asking everybody to join. And after 1 or 2 hours later, he added Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and they made another announcement. This is the history. And so if anyone who try to make a difference, or try to make one person is bigger than other, so it is their personal thinking, but not acceptable. And then after that, we as a woman, because my brother was left-wing politician in my town, and I was inspired by my brother. And at that time, I took part in 52 language movement. I was a school student, and we strike, we remember. And my brother was a student as well. He was being arrested. And since then, it was off and on all the time.
What's your
And
brother's name, please?
Sorry?
What's your brother's name? I
It's
missed that.
Didarul Alam Khuram. Our hometown is Jamalpur.
Right, okay.
And he was then fled to Meghalaya. It was very difficult time. He used to get 1 kg of a flat rice, that is chira and gur, and life was very difficult. And he was also cultural person. He just made in one act. It's a naked thaba, then what he did, he used to go within the area and acted on those to inspire the Mukti Yodha and whoever involved in the war. And also when this is happened, my husband was working in Pakistan embassy as an education officer. And then I talked to him. I said, so we have to do something because we can't be accepting, what massacre, and that the country is in trouble. So we have to do something. And then I called few women and form, because with a single person nobody would listen things. So we form a convening committee with Lulu Appa as an advisor, Mrs. Box as a convener, and I used to do the PRO's job, connecting with outer world, embassies, and all other things. And also we then 31st we met, and then 31st we convened a committee in Bayswater, and since then we just working against and for the country in a different way for 9 months till March to December. And we first took the procession from the Charing Cross embankment to Hyde Park, and covering all those embassies and giving the memorandum, about 10 embassies, including 10 Downing, American Embassy, China, and all other. And we remember China didn't take the memorandum. We stood there 2 hours, but that was the history again. And we used to go every day to Parliament and to speak to all of the member and asking them to help Bangladesh. And Warren One, Save the Children, and all other people, Student Action Committee, and we just used to work under Abu Said Chowdhury and the steering committee.
Which month was that?
Sorry?
Which month was that? Month.
Our organization was formed in 31st of March, convening committee, and since then was just working.
Okay.
The April 3rd April we took the first possession, is the first by the women association, and 4th April was the steering committee took the big one. So our one is the first during that time, but other community during that in their own way, different way. But with the steering committee, women's procession was 3rd April.
All right. If you allow me, let me go back to the night of the crackdown. Initial history, because we have got our Shabnam here, and then for younger generation this will be information, as you have the has said already about the declaration of the independence. Actually, what happened is it was March. March was very volatile, very volatile situation.
Yeah.
Before that, February was very, actually it was very serious. We were not going to the class. We were in the positions. I was in second year intermediate in Government College Chicago. So we were busy.
You in year 9 or year 10, Ashraf Bhai? Were you in year 9 or year 10?
No, year 12 plus. I was in the college.
Oh, you were in the college, year 12, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay. So I was in the second year intermediate. So what happened is we were busy actually collecting ads or publishing a journal. Because 21 February, as for 21st February, we used to really publish a lot of journals around the country. So, and that used to be a really festive condition.
Yeah.
So I was very busy on that and going out and becoming irregular. So I got fever. I had dysentery, and I could not stay in my city house. I had to leave the city before 21st February and go back home. Okay, our home is not far away. It is just from Kalughat. The next station is our house. So okay, so what happened is, in the meantime, the February has gone and March has started. On 3rd March, there was raising of Bangladesh flag. On 7th March, there was, the fiery speech by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bangabandhu
Right.
Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And then there was dialogue going on. As Firdaus Saab said, the dialogue was going on in Sheraton with Bhutto, with Yahya Khan,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
means the Pakistan party and this East Wing party. And Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was till the last, he was in favor of negotiating. But the problem with
Well,
the Pakistani people,
he was fighting for the sixth dafa, Anyway, carry on, please.
yeah. So basically, what happened is they had their own intelligence. They had their own information, twisted information. Says these Bengalis are going to revolt, whatever you do. So they took the military action. What military action happened? Military action happened is on 25th March night.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a very terrible condition. If I tell you this story, it is terrible. Actually, the 8th East Bengal was in Sholoshohor. You know, Sholoshohor is
Yes.
Sholoshohor is one station away from us, but from Chittagong railway station is 2 stations away. In between there is another station called Bortoli. So in Sholoshohor railway station, near the Sholoshohor railway station, there was a place, the location of 8th East Bengal. The 8th East Bengal, the commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Janjua, he had a different plan.
Yeah.
He planned to send the then Major Jiaur Rahman to the port, to Chittagong port. He said the SWAT military ship has come, SWAT, you go to the port. And he has arranged for people to attack him and kill him. But it was lucky for us that from Lalkhan Bazaar, before reaching the port, he was stopped by the Bengalis and he came back. And then he understood that there is a lot of turmoil going on and there was conspiracy. He went straight to the house of the commanding officer. See, I have been serving in the army. I understand how much courage you require as a second in command, going to the commanding officer's house to arrest him. He, at that night, he went to the Janjua's house and knocked the door. It is said that Janjua, with a very happy mood, opened the door. And he was really, really terrified seeing Major Jia alive. Because in his calculation, Jia is supposed to be dead by now. Anyway, General Jia, then Major Jia, arrested him, and then he took him away, and then some soldier killed him later. That is different. Yeah. But he went back to the soldiers. It was after 12 o'clock. People say that it is around 2 or 3 o'clock at night. He called all the soldiers. And in the army, you cannot really instigate others to do the mutiny because that is another crime. But you can always say that I'm revolting. So he declared in front of everybody, I revolt. আমি বিপ্লব, আমি বিদ্রোহ শুরু করলাম. Then the whole team of officers, JCOs, NCOs, and soldiers, they with a chorus, they said, we also revolt. You got to understand one thing. Actually, for a civilian, there is nothing called revolt. If you are serving as a deputy commissioner, you are a SPO, or you are some chief engineer, you don't say revolt. You say that I am not abiding by your rules. Disobedience. And because disobedience in Bangladesh is started after 3rd March. You got to understand. The whole March was disobedience movement.
We are hearing some noise, background noise.
If we all put our microphone on mute except the speaker, then might be a better.
Yeah, please. Okay.
Better.
All right. All right. So what happened is, if actually in during March, there was no one going to the office. It was a total civil disobedience, because on 7th March, Bangabandhu said, you will not go to the office, you will not do the thing, but I will ensure your pay. So people did not go to the civil disobedience started that time. But the revolt started by under the leadership of then Major Jiaur Rahman, because he was a military man. And you got to understand one thing: by saying revolt, you take a lot of risk, because according to military rule, Army Act, the minimum punishment is you will be shoot to kill. Simple.
Yeah.
You will be hanged. So knowing all these things, he said, I revolt. And that is a wonderful decision he has taken. And whole team agreed with him. And then now they understood that they cannot stay here, because from Chittagong cantonment, I mean, the non-Bengali regiments were much more. They were more stronger. They had heavier weapons. So, following the railway line, they started leaving Sholoshohor and Chittagong, and they walked and few miles, crossed the Kalurghat. Kalurghat means that was a bridge, Kalurghat bridge, and the next station is our station. And in the morning, in the early morning, after Fajr prayer, my youngest sister, she went to the pond. Our house is just 100 years away from the railway station. We can see everything. The train is coming and people are getting up. We can see everything. My sister says, she came running. She said, there are a lot of police. I said, because actually that time army dress was also khaki. Police used to put on khaki. Yeah. Now the combat dress you see, it was introduced by General Ziaur Rahman. Earlier, our army dress was khaki, the same as police. So my sister did not understand. She's a small girl. She said, the lot of police. I said, what? And then I went, and with curiosity, just went across the field and went to the railway station. There we found the officers. Now the colonel, Colonel Wali, he was captain. No, Colonel Wali.
Yeah,
not Wali. Yeah, Colonel Wali, he was a captain, Captain Wali. And then, Lieutenant Colonel Mahfouz, who was hanged during their killing, he was second lieutenant Mahfouz. And then General Ziaur Rahman.
He was my class friend.
Sorry?
He was my class friend, Mahfouz.
Okay, all right. His son was my officer. He is a brigadier, Ridwan. Okay, and then we found the officers. They were seeing the young people like us. They said, okay, help us. And then we started helping them. How, carrying the bullet boxes. And we became tired. We are small kids and carrying the bullet boxes. We walked up to a few miles, and then beside the railway line, they initially established the camp. But later they came back to the school. As Mr. Noman has said, the school is Gumdandi High School. Gumdandi is the railway station. Gumdandi is the name of our village, and the school's name was also Gumdandi Model High School. Okay, so it was established by my father and his friends. So they established the camp here. Now from here, they used to go always all the way up, crossing the Kalurghat up to Chittagong, and after few days, after about 12-13 days, there was a ship which came from, it's a warship, man of war, the fighting ship, which came to Chittagong port. And then this camp was abandoned and they left for the India, because the ships have got cannons. Now I am as an artillery officer, army officer, I understand. That time I did not understand. Because the cannons have got long range, the ships have got long range cannons. And then with this mileage, they can cover up to our area. That's why General Ziaur Rahman, we remember, while leaving the camp, he gave one 303 rifle to my eldest brother and said, give it to your father, and this is for the safety of your family. My father saw my brother coming inside with a rifle. He said, "Why rifle?" He said, "Major Jia and his team has left, and then they have given it for our safety." My father, instinctively said, "We don't require a rifle. They require it more than that. You better go now and give it." He went running, but he did not find anyone, because by that time the even last element also has left. Later he gave it to our freedom fighters in the in Volkhali, the freedom fighters. So actually, the declaration came, it is different. As a matter of fact, declaration was in the night in Sholoshohor in front of
26.
others. Right. In 26.
26.
Right. But the next day, no, 25th night, to 26th, they came to our place. Whole day, it was in shambles. They did not know what to do. On 27th, there was a question that if we have declared, we know only, but Pakistan radio television will not declare, the others will not declare, America is not supporting us, the China is not supporting us, so it should be aired, the declaration should be aired. So he went to Kalurghat. Actually, Kalurghat is not a radio station, because as a college student, I used to do radio programs. I used to write poetry and a student program. So the radio station in Chittagong was in Agrabad. In Kalurghat, there was a transmitter only.
Yes.
So they could not, because of army occupation and then police presence, they could not go to Agrabad. So they went to transmission station, which is under their control, and from there they declared. What was the declaration? He said, because it was told to Major Jia that, see, if you are not saying, then if some civilian is saying that we are revolting, the world will not believe. I mean, some people from the uniform should speak. So he just instantaneously said, I, as the head of the provisional government, declare the independence of Bangladesh. So this is not a politics. This was the crisis of the period. We are doing politics now. This is nasty politics, but that was the reality. Then some politicians, they told him that if you have declared this, the world has agreed, fine. But the acceptance of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman internationally is much more. So why not giving the declaration in his name? And instantaneously, without any delay, Major Jia agreed. He did not say that, no, my name goes, no. He went to the transmission station again and then declared, I, on behalf of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the president of the provisional government, declare that Bangladesh is at war now. See, this is what happened. But now we have gone into politics, as Firdaus Appa was saying rightly. Actually, when we were students, I'm mentioning this for Shabnam and of your people of your age. When we were student, our liberation day Independence Day was 14th August. The Independence Day of Pakistan.
Yeah.
And you ask her, on 14th day, it used to be so festive, so celebration. There was no, who is Awami League, who is NAP Bashani, who is Muslim League. That is not a question. It is a celebration of the country.
National Day celebration.
It is National Day celebration. But what happened, what we have seen after our liberation in 71, we have seen every celebration. Some people are saying it is our celebration, and some people are saying they are the enemy of the country. These people are, dividing the nation. And that's why your generation, the younger generation, they don't find any interest in those sort of things, because our national days are not national days. Our days are fighting days, whereas the Poila Boishakh has become now national day, and on these days nobody fights. See, so actually I'll not go into other details. What I'll say is, then my brother, actually, when Firdaus Appa was organizing the people there, we were planning to leave the country and join the fighting forces. Me and my elder brother, we were student of 12th class, intermediate, So we decided we will leave the country. But brothers are always like that. Last moment, he left me and he left alone. He went on the other side of the country to fight. But think about the situation. By April, that's why I was asking her what time. By April and May, Pakistan has taken total control of the country, and they were telling the world that there is no problem. The country is fine. And the government declared that we got to go to the school, we got to go to the college, we got to do everything. And see, just to save our family, because one of our brothers have left for freedom fighter, as a freedom fighter. You cannot tell this thing to anybody supporting Pakistan. We are always telling lies to our relatives and others that no, my brother has gone to our grandma's house. My brother has gone to our auntie's house. We were telling lies, and we were showing that we are very loyal to the government. My brother has joined the service. Father has joined the service. I went to the college. See, now people might say a lot of things, but practical situation was different. But during that time, people under the leadership of Abu Said Chaudhry in the UN and people like Kaddu Safa and others, dedicated people, they were organizing the propaganda, the thing which media should do. They have done it on the street. They have made it visible to the rest of the world, because Pakistan was, say.
No, what I was saying is that Sabba, you made a very valid point there, that whatever was going on in our country, the world would not have known if it wasn't for the active effort of the Bangladeshi diaspora, particularly in Britain.
Exactly.
And I remember Shirazur Rahman, may Allah give him reward for what he has done for our country.
Yeah.
Shirazur Rahman, he was the deputy head of Bangla in BBC. He has done an amazing job in making sure the world knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And people like, we had another guest today. He's unfortunately very ill, and that's why he couldn't come. Dr. Kabir Chaudhry, he was a student of PhD in Manchester University at that time. And he was a member of the liaison committee for coordinating the efforts around the country in Britain amongst the Bangladeshis as to what can be done. So people like Ferdoz Sapa and Dr. Kabir Chaudhry, they are our heroes, because if it wasn't for the effort that you did, the world wouldn't have known.
So actually, what happened is BBC Bangla was a outpost of Bangladeshi freedom fight since many years. They had been always echoing the sentiment of the Bangladeshi people for many years. I tell you, it is not only during Liberation War, but after that, what happened is the people in Kalurghat, of Chittagong Radio, they took the transmission machine from Kalurghat all the way through Paroa to India, and they started from some place across the border. They started Shadin Bangla Betar Kendra. And Shadin Bangla Betar Kendra used to start with the recitation from Holy Quran. And I remember, Sayyid Ali Hassan, the very eminent scholar. Sayyid Ali Hassan used to give talks on liberation in Islam, freedom in Islam. See?
So what you are saying is the transmitter that was used by General Zia to declare the independence is the same transmitter that was used by Shadin Bangla Betar Kendra.
Yes.
Wonderful. That is a story I never heard. Wonderful.
It was carried from Kalurghat to India. So
fascinating story, Ashraf Bhai. Fascinating story. I want to come back to Ferdoz Sapa to hear a bit more about what the Bangladeshis did during the war efforts, to support the war efforts, because obviously Justice Abu Said Chaudhry has played a major role, and I'm assuming that you had some interactions with Justice Chaudhry as well. So can you please elaborate your experience, because we had the first personal account of Colonel Ashraf in terms of what was happening in Bangladesh. I would like to know now from you, Professor Rahman,
Right.
your experience of what was happening in Britain.
Britain, because I totally agree with Colonel Ashraf. I think Ashraf, because he said whatever is authentic and is true. And I hurriedly, written a book about Probashe Mohila Mukti Jodha. So I have
Okay.
written
Wonderful.
only women. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's documentation. And if I can read one of the thing that what women did and
Please,
every day, and all the picture is there. I don't know whether you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
where can we find that book, Appa?
I have got a few books because all the books gone. I haven't republished it, and if I did, I would, I think, included so many information that I have got still there. So if I can read it to you, just
Please,
one, um, then you would know how much we're busy doing things. Like 28th March, that when we saw that picture in the Simon Rings picture, then we decided that we should do something. Otherwise, because our people is at risk, country at risk, so we have to do something so we can get external help from outside Bangladesh. So we had a meeting, and then we formed 31st March. Our association is a convening association, and then 3rd March, 2nd March, we in London is Oxford Street. There is a cafe. Though we sat down, we asked other parts, women from other part, and then we said that we have to do something, and just we accumulated more people. And then 3rd April, we just had a 200 women and
wow,
pushing pram and wearing saris from Embankment and Charing Cross Embankment to Hyde Park, and we were just went there. And then there, our slogan was that not a penny, not a gun, yeha bhutto tikaka. And then world power for humanity. And the stop genocide, recognize Bangladesh. Liberation Army, we are with you. So that's all our slogan. And then we then 4th April, then we just all the right American president, then youth hunt, and all the 10 Downing Street, we are just sending at that time. Communication was so bad. Only telegram, and the telephone was costly, and we had to send telegram to all the people to come forward and help Bangladesh. And then 8th April, United Nations Secretary Youth Hunt and Russian President Podgorny, German President Brandt, and Human Rights McNamara, and we just asked them to stop the genocide. And then 13 April, about 9 organizations who that had a meeting in 8 Consortium. So we just went there and said, stop this thing, what's happening internally, this is genocide. And then 16 April, we 47 embassies, we send all our memorandum to them. 18 April, Pope Paul and Mrs. Nixon, we just send them, and all the Jomo Kenyatta, Mrs. Barbara Castle, British MPs. Then Mary Wilson, we send a letter and everything. 19 April, then we 3 weeks continuously we are at the British Parliament from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. we sat down, and at that time people couldn't speak English or something. Just say we used to apply for seeing any MPs, whether Labour Party or Conservative or other. We used to say, please help Bangladesh. That was the 3 weeks that we done continuously. And then 7th May, War and Want, and we sent two truck of clothing. And then 14th May, British Parliament, we just there was a debate there, so women were there at present. 4th June, then we just 4th June in 10 Downing Street, we just requested them to send all the help that they needed in Bangladesh.
Appa, you said with you about Simon Drink. Simon Drink was here in
photographer. I think she was working with the Daily Telegraph, I think, at that time, and he was in Bangladesh, and from Sheraton, he was sending all this picture and thing that we saw the first time that was happening, and it was really horrible. We couldn't imagine.
And if you, I think you know about the history. The Simon Drink. Actually, the Pakistan Army, Pakistan government said all foreign journalists and photographers to leave the hotel. But Simon Drink, he taking the risk. He hided himself and did not leave.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a wonderful thing he has done. Because
he has done a wonderful thing, and then taking risk because nobody was allowed, especially the foreigner. But he did the wonderful thing, and the British and the BBC. My father always, and in those days, they used to see BBC Bangla, and getting all the information at that time. They are not allowed to hear even. People used to hide in under the table, under thing.
Abba, you said you had been, and your brother was you were activist in Chhatra Union.
No, at that time, no. I don't know. My brother was involved with the NAP politics, Bhashani politics, and he was yes. And I was not, because when I was here, I was not involved with any political party, because as my own accord, we just fought against this and made British people that was happening, and we are very grateful at that time that Peter Shaw and the Bruce Douglas man, Ian Mikado,
and you have the total account. You have the total account of those periods, isn't it?
Yes.
And have you published it in your book? Everything?
Yes. It is it says, it's Bengali, Prabashi Mohila Mukti Jeta, Firdaus Rahman, related all the things we have done.
But for the generation of Shabnam, this is
the book Shabnam needs to translate. This is the book Shabnam needs to translate.
I'm thinking now, if I had time, then all the things, because we just attended, I have the date and the diary and what we did, everything, include that. And also, I have got the account of many who helped that liberation war movement and all the money. And I have got the account of steering committee and who contributed and how much. I have got that one.
Can I make a proposition here?
Yes.
On behalf of Manchester South Asia Centre, we will take responsibility of connecting Firdaus with Shabnam, and we will do something about it. So off the screen, we will do something about it on behalf of Manchester South Asia Centre, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Can I just let you know that, I don't know whether you know, Simon Drink died only July this year, so he only died last month.
Yes.
Right.
I didn't know that. God help him in the place he deserved.
He was working for Reuters at the time in 1971.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Appa, carry on with your wonderful story.
Okay.
Then
It's
Appa,
fine.
if you are,
if all
Appa,
the,
if you are,
because it will take time, all the things we have done, and then showing the film and collecting money. And at those time, 2,000 pounds was spent at the time that it's Jafarullah Chaudhry was the chairperson of the medical association. So we
yes,
gave him that machine, orthopedic machine, and he took it and he used to work with the Kushtia border and replace or repair, broken legs or
Dr. Jafar
something
Chaudhary
with that.
Ganashastra Kendra. Dr.
yes,
Jafar
yes,
Yes,
Chaudhary
yes,
Ganashastra Kendra.
yes.
Okay.
yes.
At that time, he was a president of medical association, and he went back to Bangladesh to help people. He
And
has done wonderful job, and those
and
time 2,000 pound is not matter of joke.
Mm.
and I
And
let me mention
yes,
one story. Dr.
right,
Jafarullah Chaudhary was doing his post graduation there, and for higher degree he has almost finished his course, but
yes,
he did not care about the course. He left for the
yes,
country for freedom fight, and he came and organized the medical side of the freedom fight.
Apart, I just wanted
I,
to. Okay.
Ji sir,
So I just
continue.
want to interject here because while you were talking, I was comparing my notes of the 12 people I have interviewed from the Northwest, including probably Dr. Kavit Chaudhary. There are some few missing links. And one thing I wanted to ask you about the role of John Stonehouse, who fled away with a lot of Bangladesh money in
no,
his.
no, that is another story. So
Okay,
John Stonehouse, how he deceived, that is another story. But
I think that's
his
again for somewhere
contribution,
important.
we have to accept it, because John Stonehouse was a treasurer, and then all other people who helped us. It is, I think, create a momentum of our movement, and it is helped us to know the outside world and gave us tremendous power to to recognize Bangladesh and all the history, how it is war between India and Pakistan, and in between all those freedom fighter who just took deliberately in a 11th sector, and he was there without any guidance. They they protected our country and people. But ultimately at those time, because communication was so poor, we didn't know what happening. And it was great question, because Osmani was there. Why Niazi surrendered to Aurora, not Osmani? Because fight was between Pakistan and India. At those time, we didn't know. We thought we just liberated the country, and then his that Shankar Rai Chaudhary, who led the war and who entered through the hilly sector in India. They took, I think, 6 month preparation to attack, and he entered on 6th December. They enter into the nearby Dhaka. They are waiting, and then they lost 64 soldier Indian soldiers was killed in that battle, and he was waiting there. And 10th December, Indira Gandhi declared Bangladesh, independent
Independent.
Bangladesh. But officially, 16 December is the is the Shadinata or liberation. It's all. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect. What happened there, and also the saying the number of people they did, once they have said, it's a wrong declaration, it became right. So these are all things happening. I don't know when it will be happening. And those documents signed between Aurora and Niazi, It is not available in Bangladesh. Either it is in India and it's Pakistan. Do you know all the history? And after 50 years of independence, we don't have any list of people who fought for it, who was sacrificed their life for it. Nothing is there. Even I think in Bangladesh, in one corner, like Kalur Ghat, there should be is a column, not with the marble, but with the cement, and their name should be engraven there. Then historian could collect those names from there. Unfortunately, we don't have anything. And the history, oh, the history is changes with the political party. It's really unbelievable. And at that time, I was not thinking that I'm doing something noble or something. I never thought that people will talk about me because my country was in risk. People were dying, and my family was fleeing from one place to another, and the whole from station to Bokultala, there is a center. Whole everything was massacred, fired, and burned. And I could not because I had to get out. And because I was captain from class 7 to class 10, and I had to do everything. As you said, the 14 August, we had to do everything. And all these things we are different. But our history should be right. Because whoever done whatever is the job should be recognized, because they have done with their sincerity and with their honesty, and it should be recognized. It doesn't matter who did, it doesn't matter which party did, because party could not do it single-handedly. This is definitely established, especially in London. Whoever says whatever thing, Aumi League at that time, they could not lead. And Abu Said Chaudhry, he was a scholar, and he was not politician.
He was a non-political person.
Non-political person, and he went to the Geneva for a conference. And after that, my husband, because my husband from Tangail, and he was from Tangail as well, and my husband brought him from the airport to my house, and we got it. And when he heard whatever happening, he said, I should resign. What do you think of it? And then my husband used to take him to 10 Downing Street, Parliament, and all other embassies to meet them and contact with them. And after that, that Shirajur Rahman took, thing.
Appa, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, Appa?
Yes, yes, why not?
This history that you are telling us, wonderful history. Have you got it documented in your book as well? This what your husband did, chaperoning Justice Abdul Chaudhry.
Yes.
All that in your book.
Yes.
Wonderful. That book has to be promoted more. It's not about that. Can I just also ask you, what was the name of the committee that you formed? Did you have a name?
Yes, it is the Bangladesh Women's Association, UK.
That association, does it still exist?
No, unfortunately it's not. Because what happened, I'll tell you a story. Because what happened, at that time, I was young, and I thought, because Mrs. Jebonnasa Bosch, he was a teacher, primary teacher in a primary teacher. He used to teach what is called sewing or something, and he was elderly. And Lulu Appa was here for study. Unfortunately, she couldn't finish. So I made her Bakshaba as a convener, and Lulu Bilkis Banu as an advisor. And I used to, because my husband was with the embassy and other thing, he did all the written thing, everything my husband did. And I used to have communication with Hassan Ali. He was in High Commissioner in Calcutta. So we used to communicate with them. And all the thing has been done like this. And it was at that time, and we have every day from 10 till 4 o'clock, we are busy out and attending meeting or doing something. or that the days were passed in that way, and
Your
everything is
husband,
there. But I want to
Noman,
add more thing into it.
Noman,
your
Noman.
husband was working for Pakistan High Commission while doing all this work.
No,
Understanding.
because would you believe it? Because when people used to protest in front of the embassy, and it's a cold winter evening, and he used to serve tea with them and send a blanket, and that's why because he was then sacked by them. But my husband did not leave, because if he leave, he would not get all the information.
Right.
What Pakistan army doing? That's why he didn't leave. Ultimately, he lost his job, and he was working with Abu Said Chaudhry till then. Then laterly he absorbed in the foreign services.
Right. So,
It is,
I mean, it's a fascinating story. Ashraf bhai, ji.
actually, the Ferduz has given kept two questions. One is about the history, another is about the India and Pakistan war. I'll answer on that, but before that, I think we should hear something from Shakur bhai and Shabnam.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes,
That
yes.
we want to hear about the work that Dr. Shakur is doing. Taslim bhai,
No,
tell us about the work that you are doing.
I was quite happy to hear from the APA, because she was giving some new information. Just wanted to, I was trying to make a snapshot of my 70s in Bangladesh and now in the 2020s in England. I was just calculating that I was in 19 years in East Pakistan, 10 years in Bangladesh, and 40 years in UK. So that gives me a picture, No, because then you lose. The only thing for benefit of Shabnam is that I had been reading all the books, as many as possible, both in Bengali and English, because English books are rather less, and therefore I think she must translate the book over. Two books I can recommend. One is written by my brother-in-law. You probably know Akayum Khan's. It's
Yeah,
Bittersweet Victory of a tale, freedom fighter's tale. That is came in 2013.
Right.
And
Another
the reason,
information I can give you, Farooq Ahmed, one is a writer here. He's from Sylhet, and he's uh, compiling all the people who contributed in liberation war in UK, and he is compiling the names and other thing. And I'm also working and connecting people and giving all the information to him. So it will be another one. It will be either controversial or whatever, we don't know yet, but he is doing that.
okay, so
It's
this is about
happening.
what I like about this book. Is he was a freedom fighter, but he
Right.
wrote the book in his 60s. So by writing this book later, I thought I mean, I shouldn't say it, but more maturity in the book. That he can see things in more perspective. So I
Right.
would recommend that one. And the second one is, which is a very sad story of this one called Shah Jawan Mojumdar, Guerrilla,
Right.
which only published a year ago, and he died 2 3 months ago. This is a first soldier story.
All
All
right.
other
I'll,
books you
I'll
can
get
remember.
all the name from Noman, I think.
Okay, the reason I'm saying it, I will feel so sad. This is a young student, same as our colonel here, same
Yeah.
age, and he joined as a soldier, like without plan. And this is a soldier's tale. We hear so many soldiers' tale from the First World War and Second World War. There's nothing in Bangladesh history. They're all done by officers. So this
Exactly.
one, so this was and the one I'm trying to do is about, like you, all the role of the Bangladesh Workers Committee, which was formed at the same time in the 70s in Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, and Leeds. And there were
Right.
some fascinating stories. I mean, they raised £60,000
Where do you
just
live
in
at the
September.
moment?
Sorry?
Where are you staying?
I'm in Lancashire. No, I was that
Lancashire.
time in Dhaka. Is that what I'm trying to do? Like I've collected all their
Right.
interviews and just doing
Okay.
a small booklet which will be coming by December 16th. But
Oh, that's wonderful.
fascinating, the reason why, because they reached £72,000 in 71. Now just think about that.
Right.
And the only difficulty I'm trying to find the missing link that where the money is gone, because they all, of course, took to Abu Said Chaudhry, Dr. Govind
No,
Chaudhry.
not all money. Not all money. What
600.
happened?
I mean, all I can update you is John Stoner's daughter has just written a book 2 weeks
No,
ago.
no. What I'm saying, people were so devoted. They didn't take the wage packet home. They
What
just
this was coming to
contributed.
you? That
Yeah.
these people in Manchester, they were giving those who working in the restaurant, they
Yeah, I
give
know.
all their wage every week.
Exactly. Yes.
And they did all. It also started even before March. People think after 20 months. No, they were aware before March. They were meeting. Some fasting stories. Some of the students who were doing fasting, in a fasting protest in front of the Pakistan embassy, and then all these things. That some people were writing. Qayyum Bhai still aware.
I think,
He's
I
80
think,
plus.
uh, I think, Shagur bhai, I think Numan has done a wonderful thing
Yes.
by
Yes.
connecting both of you, particularly Shagur bhai and Firdaus Appa. And I understand that this connection you require before the completion of the research. And
And so
here
did
I
Shabnam, because she's also
right,
required, because
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
old, I must be the oldest person here, but so
No, no,
felt
no.
No,
she,
no,
Fedosa
I
is more
think
older than you.
I'm older than you. But what's happening? I must say, because we four women who got recognized by Bangladesh government at that time. Um, uh, the ambassador was here. What's his name? He's a poet. What's his name? He's a
Indian
BNP.
ambassador,
Huh?
Indian
Mufaddal
ambassador.
No, no, no.
No,
He's a
no,
Mufaddal
no.
poet.
Karim,
For
He's a
Bangladesh.
poet.
Yes.
Mufaddal Karim,
Fazle Karim.
Mahajal Karim.
Yes.
Mahajal Karim.
Mufaddal
Mofazal
Karim.
Karim. Yeah,
Okay.
at that time he arranged for that not only for BNP people, but for all party, because included other people. It was good for him, and also what I'm saying, people have so much sacrifice, because I have got one that the person who kept all the account and other thing, look after his accountant. I have got one copy of that, and
Oh,
those when the Bangladesh government form, I mean High Commission form in London, that money is spent on that, and rest of the money went back to the Bangladesh government. And my husband, when the students were abandoned by the British and the Pakistan government, and he used to get all the students, look after them by getting grant from everywhere he tried, and according to currency, I think 3 crore taka he arranged for those students, and to finish their I think thesis, and went back by home, and their fare, and also some people who stayed longer, he used to enlist them with the social security, you know.
there,
Can I
there,
just make a suggestion here?
Sorry.
Papa, I'll just add one point. As
Yeah.
Noman was indicating, your husband was in the embassy working,
Yes.
but
Education
inside,
officer.
right. But he was there. He did not leave with the intention that if he leaves, he will be out of communication. He will not know what is happening.
Like, what is happening? That's why he stayed back.
Right.
And Abu
Right.
Said, that's why after he
So what?
finished job, they took Abu Said Choudhury and another Muhyiddin. He was third secretary. He also resigned.
So
Then
what I'm
they
saying,
should take.
Papa, what I'm saying is, in Bangladesh, we were there. So let's say my brother has gone for freedom fight,
Yeah, I
and
know.
I have joined. Now I have joined the college. My father has joined the office, because otherwise it is very difficult to prove that we are obedient to the government. Now,
Exactly.
yeah, so that was the situation. Even there are examples. One mother has two children. She has sent one to as a freedom fighter, another to Razakar. See, there are people, those who has our Abdurrahman was our president, isn't it?
Abdurrahman Bishas.
Abdurrahman Bishas. Abdurrahman Bishas was a Shanti committee chairman,
I know.
but the people in his area knows that he joined Shanti committee to save the people from
Atrocities.
Pakistani atrocities. So that's what but what happened is, unfortunately, as you are saying, in Kalurghat there should be a monument written the names. Now we have become too political. Now the question is, if my name doesn't come, why should I write down others' name? People, let me tell you one thing. My brother, though he was a freedom fighter, did not take the certificate. Whereas in the country now, we have got so many money. I mean, making
freedom fighters, so many freedom fighters, their parents maybe got married after 7 years of the liberation of war, and the son is a freedom fighter. How can you?
Yeah.
Can I just bring you let Dr. Shakur finish what he was saying?
No,
That
I just want, if you
Sorry,
don't mind, I mean, this.
My apology.
No, it's fine, Abba. It's fine, Abba.
No,
Don't worry.
just last week, I was trying to have a meeting with all the people who contributed. If I may possible, I will try to show you here. One of the person who was there, and the way he sort of said his story so well, I mean, I just wanted to play for you. I don't know if you can listen to that.
Yes.
He was playing. I don't know if you can. He was really playing.
If you put it near the microphone, we'll be hearing it.
Is it possible? I don't know how, but I'm not very
Just
good
play
at
it.
this.
Just play it.
I don't know how this is again. Yeah, okay. Can you hear this one? No. I don't know if you can see this guy who was doing this thing.
We can hear it a little bit.
Can you hear that?
Little bit. And then it gone away.
Okay,
Anyway, don't worry about it. Tell us what he was saying.
Oh, no, because he was like a putti. He had a putti, the way we do putti
Oh,
part.
right. Okay.
He was doing that kind of putti part with us. And then I just couldn't stop him because he said, no, Taslim bhai, you must listen to our thing because this is what we were doing at that time. And
I am particularly fascinated by one thing you said, Taslim bhai, and that
go on.
is young restaurant workers were giving their entire weekly wage. Now,
It's not one today.
I think there is a great demand that we should document the history of the contribution of Bangladeshis in Britain, across Britain, at that time.
Yes.
It hasn't been documented properly.
No.
And this needs to be done. Now,
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Come
just
on.
wanted to come in because you're talking
Please.
about the contribution of Bangladeshis who were in Britain at the time, and that's something that I'm very fascinated by, particularly
See,
what
he's
you were
all
saying.
going by heart. He's a
about
7-year-old guy. He's playing the puthi. Sab gandagol korilo. Tarpore de bhutto ashiya ki. This was a formal meeting, and he said, "Taslim, we thought permission."
We need to have it listened another time because we can't hear you. Let me just listen to what Shabnam was saying. Sorry,
it's okay. I was just saying that I was very interested to hear about the contribution of Bangladeshis in Britain, like you were saying, Dr. Shakur, about the restaurant workers donating their wages, and Firdaus Aunty, you were saying about the women's movement here and all the
not women, other people also.
Sorry, yes, of course, yes, everyone, and the activities that you had going to Parliament and all of the activism. It's really interesting. But as a young person of a younger generation, I don't know how many people. I mean, I'm interested in it anyway from the beginning, which is why I will go and read a history book. But I'm not sure how many 20-something-year-olds or teenagers will go and pick up a history book, whether it's in English or Bangla, to read about it. So I think, sometimes we need to find different avenues to present these facts, and which brings me on to something else. So my sister is actually also a writer, and she's a novelist, and she recently published last year a novel about sort of Bangladeshi people coming to Britain and their experiences with the war. It's called Hashim and Family. I don't know if you've heard of it. But
What's your sister's name?
Her name is Shahnaz Ahsan, and I've got a copy of the book. I'll show you now.
Show it. Yeah, that's the best way to show.
Yes.
Yeah, and
this is the book.
Mashallah.
Right, very Shahnaz Ahsan. And
Yes.
what's your father's name?
Our father's name is Muhammad Ahsanullah.
Where he used to stay? You at your younger stage?
Sorry, we're in West Yorkshire right now.
All right, not in London.
No.
All right. Okay. I thought
Is it Bradford?
that's why I asked what's your father's name. We used to know.
Okay, so the characters in this book is actually set partially. Sorry, it's
Very
partially
good.
set in Manchester. So the main character comes to Manchester, and it's about their experiences, and also I think it delves a little bit into how local people and the British people, white English people, saw the struggle or what they knew or didn't know about it. Because I always find it quite interesting or sort of surprising how little people know about the politics and the history behind all of it. You know, people talk a lot about partition of India, 1947, but beyond that, they don't know anything. And actually, 71 is almost a direct result of what happened as a result of partition. It's all connected. And as Bangladeshis as well, I'm just thinking, you know, my grandparents, they were born in India, they lived in East Pakistan, and they died and were buried in Bangladesh without moving a step, you know. So this kind of
so they were in India, where? Assam?
Well, we were in Sylhet, so you know, I'm talking a bit before 1947.
No, because
it was
he
all
was
India,
saying
wasn't it?
during Indian rule, parents because we were born in Indian rule anyway.
Yes, that's what
You
I'm
say we
trying
are
to say.
Indian and then Pakistani, then Bangladeshis, and then
Yes.
British.
Yes, exactly. So this is what I'm saying, that, you know, when we talk about British Bangladeshis now, I think because everything is so focused on the liberation war, and it should be, because it was a huge event in history and it's within living memory, people still remember it, and it's still very painful for a lot of people. But we need to zoom out a little bit and connect it to our wider history and think, you know, we have a stake in this country. I feel like British Bangladeshis often feel a bit disconnected. Perhaps I did when I was growing up. When you learn about the Second World War or the First World War, and you think, well, that's not part of my history. It's not true, because I've been researching, and you know, there were Bangladeshis. There were men from my district, my father's district in Bangladesh, who served in the First World War as labourers, and their names are in the National Archives. So you know, if you look, you can find evidence of our, you know, everything is kind of all entwined and connected, and we need to make young people feel like they have a stake in the history of this country as well as in Bangladesh, and not get too sort of bogged down in the finer details. We need to have a more overarching view of it.
You know, Shabnam, you have really made my day today, because what you've been doing, that is the real ethos why I took interest in this project a year ago. Because when I read a book by a British Sikh who wrote about the whole partition war from BBC, they're just oral history, simply written. Now, we are reading something of 75 years ago, but we know so little about our 25 years ago, about 50 years ago one. And this is why I said, well, we got to do something for a generation like you. And I think if you are there, this is what I want to do. I'm retired now. If I could read the measure, see, like Appa's story, I'm so glad she's written one book. Unfortunately, the people who were there did not keep any diary. So I was giving the oral history, and I just taking them. I've done a documentary film on them. I'm trying to make it.
I will have my few words for Shana.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, it is for you and your generation. We are, you know, our people are like Ferdous Appa and Shakur Bhai. They are doing research. But one thing, a scholar said, true story is normally written after 50 years. Why? Because that time the contenders are not present. So the researchers, they find out the truth. In our case, it has become too much of politics. We have become too political, and government changes and the history changes. And people are gagged not to speak the truth. If you speak the truth, you will be beaten. If you speak the truth, you will be isolated, and you do not know what will be your future. That's the very dangerous thing. That's why in our country, our history has become divided. You got to read the books of both the sides from all corners. Like if you have read the book, the Dead Reckoning.
Yes, I've got that.
Sharmila Bose.
Sharmila Bose, you must, because she was working in BBC Bangla. Okay. Then there actually there is a book written by, you know, the daughter of Tajuddin Ahmed.
Sharmin Rahman.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
The name of the book is the name of the book is Pita O Neta. Tajuddin Ahmed, Pita O Neta. If you write that, and you got to understand this thing. Actually, you know what has happened is in our research also. If you go to Muktijuddha Jadughar, there also you will find people are talking biased and showing biased, and things are, and you can't oppose because there are fake freedom fighters. There are, I mean, as the opposite, they were not even born, but they say that they are freedom fighters. And you can't say about anything because they are getting facilities and they have got the power. Now the researchers are not politicians. You got to dig in the truth and bring it out, because this country has got a history, long history. This country had been living mutually in harmony for many years. Hindus, Muslims, Bengalis and Biharis, they were all in peace. But who has started killing? Who has started, on 25th March? The actually crackdown happened, isn't it?
Yeah.
But before that, there were killings. There were killings in Bihari areas. Who has done it?
Of course.
Why? Why? The question is, nobody is asking. I have seen one Pakistani, I think Aisha Begum, and when I was in BIISS, actually I was working as a research director in Bangladesh Institute of International and Strategic Studies. So it is our leading think tank. So there in a seminar, she came from Pakistan, and she had a wonderful. So now the question is, these things are not sponsored. Sponsored by why? Because it is going against my standing, my political standing. So the truth is, the researchers have to find out the truth, actually who has done it and why people have done it. Okay, fine. We have got, let's say, we have got 1 lakh freedom fighters now. If we exclude the fake ones, the actual freedom fighters are this. And you can always have the list of freedom fighters, but still we don't have. That day, I have given a reception to the freedom fighters. We have got a charity school, so in Munshiganj. So what we did is, we wanted to give reception to the freedom fighters. We found 30 freedom fighters from only 3 unions. One of the leaders of the freedom fighters was telling me, sir, ওদেরকে আবার বক্তৃতা দেওয়ার জন্য দাঁড় করায় দিয়েন না. I said, no, I want that they will tell the story and my students will listen to it. Then he said, sir, they have not fought. What they will speak? So
you should not invite it. You should not invite them.
But the question is, how do we know? How will you know? And today, at present, this thing is happening and nobody is bothering. We have got a case, though I should not speak it out. I'm not sure. 2 secretaries showing the fake certificate. They have got the extension and became secretaries. Have they been punished? Have they been told to return? So
you see, let me just intervene here. What I wanted to say is that the whole situation of independence has become so politicized and has become a issue of polarization. I want to put to you all, if you look at what the great leader Nelson Mandela did,
right?
I mean, if you think about it, he was in jail, and F.W. Clark was still president while Nelson Mandela was in jail. But Nelson Mandela came out and he made F.W. Clark his vice president. And he said, we are now one country. Whatever happened in the past, let's not divide our country along those lines. Now, in Bangladesh, 50 years on, we are still having a division between who was in support of Bangladesh, who was against Bangladesh. We are still having a political divide. Now, not only that, we are having situations where we are having political victimization, we are having political witch hunt, and we are actually using political tools to attack other people. So what I would like to appeal to you all, can we have a situation whereby we forget all those past and let's have 50 years on, as Dr. Colonel Ashraf said, history is written after 50 years. Can we actually say, let's make a fresh start?
Loman, that's what I was trying to tell Shahana, because what has happened is, I was seeing a celebration of 30th anniversary of independence of Vietnam. See, so the parade was going on. In the gallery, 2 persons were sitting, Thakur bhai, Two person were sitting. One is a general with lot of medals. Another
Right.
is the secretary of the government. When the reporter asked them, they said during the war, one was Viet Minh and another was Viet Cong.
Yeah.
I mean, opposing each other. They were the daggers drawn. But after the independence,
The war.
after the military, American military left, Vietnam said, let us keep our old history under the carpet. They did not say we forget it. They said, let's keep it under the carpet. Let us build our nation. And see, Viet Minh and Viet Cong, they were so brutally have killed each other. Do you remember, Appa, a picture? One
Yeah.
man, soldier, carrying 5 heads with the hair. You will never get a terrific picture of this sort in Bangladesh. A single. Whereas after the war, they started good relations with America. Why? They have to develop. And today, where they have gone, and the Viet Minh and Viet Cong, they fought fine, but again, they are now serving the same government, and the country is going up. That's why what I'm saying. Actually, it is not for the division. You got to find out the truth and reconcile. We got to learn. Your generation have to learn how to forgive and go forward. Why you will study history? For correction, for correcting your steps, because it is politics and geopolitics. As Appa has said, the instrument of surrender was signed between Niazi and Aurora. Why? Because they said that this is the war between Pakistan and India. And do you know, on 16 December, we say it is our victory day, but now India is saying that it is their victory day.
Of course, no,
Because
that's why actually 26th March should be National Day, because that day war has been declared, and not 16, because it's a controversial. But what?
what I am saying is Pakistan and India have fought so far 4
Yeah.
wars,
Yeah.
but they are declaring only 16th December as their victory day. Why?
Because
In war of 65 war, it was a full-fledged war, but that was not a 6 September was not their victory day. It is victory day because they could cut to size their opponent.
exactly. Did you remember 1965, when it's a war between Pakistan and India, and Ziaur Rahman fought in that sector, and they become victorious, and they could not digest that victory, and since then they are trying to how to defeat this. That's what they're trying, and ultimately they got 16 December. That's it.
So Noman, when
Dr.
we are
Shakur Bhai, you are so.
Noman,
Dr. Shakur Bhai wants to show something.
when we are saying these things, no one should count me as against India or against Bangladesh or against anybody. No. If we, as a researcher, look into the history and go into the deep depth of it, we have to really find out every line, every sentence, and we got to study in between lines. You understand, Shana? In between lines, you got to, Shabnam. Yeah, sorry. So you got to go in between lines and then find out the truth. But it is true. You have got reasons to be proud of your nation. Bangladesh is a nation about which you and your generation can be proud of. There is no doubt
Dr.
about
Shakur
it.
was trying to show us a book. Dr. Shakur.
No, the reason I'm saying is just to, I know your time has gone up and we didn't say everything. But again, for Shapnam's perspective, this is the book I've been talking, which is it's called Partition Voices, and it says the untold British stories. So the same way, the Bangladesh story could be again the British stories of the Bangladesh, and it is by Avita Puri. She's a young lady like you from BBC. All she did was oral history, like from Appas and others. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not coming as a big book because
let me just say that Manchester South Asia Centre is a social enterprise. It's a non-profit organization, and one of the things we will be looking at and we want to look at is I'm a Bangladeshi. I was born and brought up in Bangladesh. I came here in my 20s. So I want to, as a founder of Manchester South Asia Center, one of my vision is to do a real research-based work to look at what and how and what lessons can we learn. And one of the thing I want to do is to do a project around this, and we can get heritage funds funding and what have you.
Right.
But we should be looking at a project where people like Shabnam and can be involved, and we can expand and get other people involved. Today's event was to look at certain elements, but I think the most important outcome of today's event is the connectivity.
Yes.
The connection that all our speakers have now got. I am more than happy if you are all happy to share your contacts between each other.
Oh, I don't mind.
So that we can take this discussion out of beyond this event and look at how much this whole issue of we have to be proud of who we are. There is absolutely not.
I may interfere. Is that what was coming from the discussion is the impartiality of the facts.
Absolutely,
history
fact is fact.
History generally spoken by the winners only, but even the losers. And if you've got a multi-party system, but this is why but I didn't ask what their background from. When I got these 12 people very randomly, and they might have joined their party later, but that time there wasn't any party. So it was very good to know in the 70s, I'm saying with APA as well, we'll realize, and they were all restaurant workers, and they just spontaneously nationalists, and they poured their story. So that way, I mean, all the people might say, although I try as an academic, try to keep my impartiality, but someone like Shabnam is very young, who doesn't have that problem. So you can easily compile these and say, well, listen, I don't give a damn to what party one was there. This is what I heard from the people.
I have a very simple point that I try to, because I'm a community activist. So I try to tell people, look, whatever political affiliation you have, the moment you leave the border of Bangladesh, you leave your political affiliation at that border. In Britain, we are all Bangladeshi. So let us not divide amongst who is this party or who's that party or who is not. Let us all be Bangladeshi. In fact, as a member of the South Asian Heritage Month organizing team, I would like to say, let us all look at our identity as South Asians, not only Bangladeshi, but South Asians, and let us celebrate that and be together, be as one, rather than dividing ourselves, because divided we fall. So I would like to.
I'm really grateful that South Asia Foundation has done it. And if you are taking in Shabnam and her generation, it will be good. But don't discard old people like us. You can keep.
Oh no. We learn from the past.
If you don't mind, you said 1 hour.
No. We are finishing because we actually gone 3 minutes over the time.
Okay.
So,
if I may say something, because many thing comes out of our discussion. Because at the beginning, I told you, we have got big generation gap between the younger generation, older, and our people pretentious, because we are talker, not doer, sayer, not doer. That if I say something, if I don't do it, why did you respect me? You see? So something we just missed out, and we could not teach our children truthfully and become. If I'm not truthful, if I'm not 100% correct person, I cannot give that. I cannot make my generation 100% correct. And divide and rule is going on. I have to give example, otherwise you won't understand. Sheikh family never fought any liberation war, yet they are playing game. A freedom fighter and non-freedom fighter, there is a big division. Why? Whoever did whatever the contribution, they should be recognized. And then again, people sometimes do think consciously, sometimes not. Because I think God has sent us to do some purpose. When we finish that purpose, then our mission is complete. And I think it's a hatred and respect we have so much strong. And then you may have one opinion, I may have quite opposite. But it is my opinion. You have to respect, and I respect your opinion. Otherwise, that making a bad history going on how many 3 decades now, And it is not happening one day, gradually, and we fool people never realize it and never protest it. Now it is unbearable, and it is take at God only help to topple the things. This is thing happening. We are
Come on, I have to
responsible.
go now. Okay,
If
you
we
don't.
say, if we say
Thank you, Taslim
we
bhai.
didn't know, if we say we didn't know, of course we did know. But my life, if I take the, is if I don't take the path of truth, I'm
Appa, sorry,
missing
you have
it.
to forgive me. I have to go, but I'd like to keep your address and communicate with you.
I will
Okay.
get you all
Absolutely.
connected. Don't worry, Taslim bhai. I will get you
Okay,
connected.
No,
Assalamu alaikum.
because it is the beginning. I think, thank to no one, that we get together and we are not enemy, and we want to get
It's
the history right, and
it's a
also young generation, they should, because that's why I was thinking, because you are brought up in Yorkshire, not in East London. If you are East London, too much politics, and we brought back all the bad practices is here, and that's why is nobody get true picture, and they hate our culture, and they think that we are all dual character. So that's the thing. I'm glad that you came out, and your sister is go ahead.
now. We just need to. I just need to conclude. First
Yes.
of all, I want to thank all our guests, Dr. Taslim Shakur, Colonel Ashraf Aldin, and Firdaus Rahman, and Shabnam Hassan. All of you have, particularly, I feel truly honored to be in the company of people like Firdaus Rahman, and obviously, because I have never shared a platform with a person who received Shadinata Padak. So it is an honor for me.
He said one of the thing, not a freedom fighter. Now is all of a sudden, he said again history taking time. All of a
No problem.
sudden, 12 people from London, they have got freedom fighter certificate. All of a sudden, it was happening in 2016. Is a gadget out. Nobody knew. After 5 years, they revealed that they have got, but we don't know. And the Abu Said Choudhury and five other steering committee, they haven't got the Mukti Jodha Padak. And all they think that now they are compiling, even then, whether even who fought it, like um, Ashraf Din's brother, he hasn't got certificate. Nobody knows where he is, what he had fought. It's unwritten and things like that, unjust. So
And a
who
lot of
will?
people did it for the love of the country. They didn't bother about the certificate.
No,
They did
no,
it for the love of
because
the
we
country.
didn't, Baka, because if you give Padak, you have to give Padak to everyone. If you don't give,
Correct.
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But people fought sincerely for their country, for the people. We should recognize the sacrifice. And do you know that Bangladesh only one country whose I think state language is Bangla, and Bangla for Bangladesh fought it. And for the Bangladesh, they fought back again and became
I think
independent.
it's
This is
only
a unique state.
it's probably the only country that is named after the language
Yes,
that it speaks.
Only country.
yes,
So
yes.
Bangla,
Only
This is
country in the
the
world.
country that speaks
this,
Bangla,
Yeah,
this is only country by the language of the country, and this is
yeah,
the only country which has got one language
one
from
language. Yes,
one
most
language.
countries have multilingual, but our country has. I mean, there are tribal people, but that's a different story.
but
So
but but it was a wrong idea. Discard all other
Taslim
language,
bhai is back.
only Bengali. Only
I,
Bengali, and then we are nowhere. We unskilled labor go to all other country to earn money. And India, 1952, they got their IT university, and all the IT intellectual people go to the Silicon Valley, and our people go for the laborer, unskilled labor. So this is the difference, because you have to, if you think about your country, you should teach your people in a highly education with support, with the knowledge and strength and understanding. So
but
wherever they go,
Appa, I'm sorry, I
Wonderful.
was taking leave
Wonderful.
because my pregnant daughter-in-law, my wife died 4 years ago. So I'm not very good looking after her. So I just have to buy some takeaway food for her.
Please,
So that's
please,
what I'm
please.
but she's
salute,
very
salute
patient.
to you. Salute to you. At least you are looking after your family, You understand whether a daughter or daughter-in-law doesn't matter.
I don't have any daughters, so they are my daughters. I've got 2 boys and 2 daughter-in-laws, but I've kept her, and she's very patient. So I thought she needed nice food today.
At least she has got a father-in-law like you caring for
yes,
that
exactly.
other thing. Thank you.
Can we just? Can I just say?
I was so overwhelmed listening to you, and such a good meeting. So please let us keep contact. I've got a lot of things. I'm not a very organized person, but at least I
will make sure that you all get connected. Don't worry about that. I will get you all connected. I think that one of the best outcome of today's event. There are a number of good outcomes. So first outcome is I'm going to get you all connected. Second outcome is it is definite that we are going to do a project about documenting the history of Bangladesh independence and the role that British Bangladesh has played. We need to be properly documented. And this is something I'm very passionate about because I was only a primary school child at that time. So I can't remember a lot of the things. But for people like Shabnam, her generation don't know anything because they were obviously born a lot later. So therefore, we need to document the history without polarization or political interference. So if this is something that if I can do that from Manchester South Asia Center, it will be an honor for me to do. And I want to thank all of you for giving up your time, particularly Colonel Ashraf. I know it's nearly 1 a.m. in Bangladesh. So thank you for staying up so late for us. And because we are all in Britain, so for us, it's only a 6:45.
Yeah.
So it's sorry, 1:45 probably. So therefore, I want to conclude that inshallah, this discussion will continue offline and we will connect and do something together. And Appa, you will be fed up of us. Don't worry.
Because I'm always give time and energy to put things on right track. That's it.
I'm truly honored to have you here today and to know you. Truly honored. So before I go, does anyone have any final word to say?
Now we have to discover more Shabnam like her because we need more younger people. So they think what old generation think and what new generation adapt or they teach us, which way to go to get into the young generation mind.
Yes, I mean, I'm really inspired.
Appa, you said everything correct, only one thing wrong. Everything correct. The one thing wrong you said that you have got not much of time, but I can find that you have enough time. Inshallah, you will live much longer, and you got to dedicate your time for this younger generation and
Inshallah.
the project you are pursuing.
Listen, I'm not waiting for death. Death can wait for me. Okay. Death can wait for me. I'm not waiting for death because every day is precious. While you're alive, you can give so many things by talking, by giving, or writing, or doing good thing, not bad thing. I don't agree with it. You have got so many good qualities. Even you smile, and even if you say something to people on what they need help, if you do that, that is wonderful thing. I think if you 5 things you decide that I'll do it. If you can complete 3, mashallah, I think you have done much.
Taslim, do you want to say something? Conclusion.
I just want to say, first of all, it was such an exhilarating to talk to Appa, and I wish there was a train here tonight. I could have gone to London and returned back, but I'll do that so shortly. I'm making this a promise. I will listen to her. I'll give a day and get
you just make me small. I'm not that big person.
No, honestly, because I'm into media thing as well. So I'll do an interview of me, a day in the life of Appa, and you reflect back your history, which I'm happy to do that.
I'm very much honored. I'm not that big that you're thinking.
And with Shabnam, I thought, it's wonderful to have her. She was very patiently listening to these old people talking much. I think she should take the lead. I'm quite happy to.
You do the final word. We can't hear you, Shabnam. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Right. I just wanted to say that it was fascinating listening to everybody's stories. I've learned so much today that I didn't know before, and I've got a very long reading list. I've been scribbling down all the titles of books, and I'm very interested to read your book as well, Auntie. So yes, lots of things for me to think about in the meantime, and looking forward to maybe connecting with some of you afterwards as well. Thank you very much for organizing.
We will connect you all, and I'm really truly delighted to have you all. And also, all those people who have been watching and listening to us across different platforms. We have people from Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and who have been patiently listening. We are on about 1 hour and 45 minutes. We've been going on. It was supposed to be an hour and a half.
Have you seen the face of our Colonel? He has really enlivened every time he comes here. So you can see, you can make old people like us very enlightened when you bring those stories. Okay.
So thank you to everyone, and inshallah we will get together again under the banner of Manchester South Asia Centre. Maybe we'll arrange something in a different platform, different way. But I will connect you all, inshallah. And thank you to all, and have a good evening. And assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you. Shakur bhai, thank you very much. Apa?